Okay, folks, good evening and welcome to our live podcast with ex-Rangers, Southampton, Fulham and Finland goalkeeper Antti Niemi. Folks, Antti will be on soon in a couple of minutes, if I can just turn my button down. Coming up in podcast, folks, obviously today, because it's Antti Niemi, we're streaming live to Saints World. And plus, next Monday night, folks, for the Southampton fans, ex-Saint Klaus Ludwigam. Played with Andy, he'll be on. And folks, on the 16th of May, the day after Rangers get the title, we've got Davy Robertson, ex-9-year-old legend, will be joining the podcast. Folks, put the questions in and we'll get the questions to Andy. We've all heard the joke before, but he's finished. He's 28. Andy will know that. He's laughing already. I can see he's laughing. But we'll ask him anyway because he's sure he's fed up listening to that. So, folks, if I get my button, Andy should appear. Get your questions in, folks. Good evening, Andy.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us and coming on. Before we start, Andy, I had a message from an ex-teammate of yours, Michael Moles.
Okay.
To say hello. Wishing you all the best.
Oh, thank you.
When's the last time you seen Michael?
I'm quite honored that he even remembers me because he was one of the star players, like scoring goals for fun, and I was just hardly playing any games. So good to hear from him. How is he doing?
Hey, he's good as usual. You know, getting younger, looking by the day. You know.
Yeah. He's one of those guys here.
So he said hello. So Andy, obviously, you started your career at Helsinki.
Yes.
Yeah, and then it was a move to Copenhagen. So, at what age did you go to Copenhagen from Helsinki?
I think it was late 95, so I must have been about 23.
Okay.
I had already played about 4 years as a number one in HJK Helsinki, which is like the biggest club in Finland.
Yes.
So I kind of thought that my chance has, I won't get a chance to move abroad. And just by accident, really, I ended up in Copenhagen because they needed a goalkeeper like straight away because their number one choice got injured. Yeah. And someone knew someone from Finland who recommended me, and I went there, and things really took from there. I honestly thought back in '95 that I'd never going to be able to play abroad at any decent level.
Yeah, wow. So then obviously, Antti, it's from Copenhagen to move. Obviously, that was probably a massive move, and that was to Rangers for you. Did you know at that time how big Rangers were?
Yeah, Rangers were massive at the time. Well, they still are. It's a massive club, but it was actually, I know the story how it went because someone from Rangers, a scout or someone, a coach or something, they came to Copenhagen to watch a midfield player, and I have a little idea. It must have been Per Fransen who actually played for Bolton later on, and I just wanted. When I played for Copenhagen, I wasn't really consistent. I had some, decent games, very good games, and then next game didn't go that well. And the game was a League Cup semi-final against Brøndby, and Brøndby was the biggest club in Denmark at the time. Like it was a local derby, like massive game. So League Cup semi-final against them, and one of those days that I just, I could do nothing wrong. I just made save after save, and just a memorable day. So someone from Rangers actually saw me playing once and thought that, hold on a second, we might, want to sign him as well. And the midfielder never ended up at Rangers, but I did. So that was the story behind this. It's a bit of a luck as well.
Yeah, okay. Obviously, Anti's questions are coming in already. So the first question is from Wilf Marshall. Hi, Antti. Who was your best friend during your time at Rangers?
Well, that's quite easy one because we had Jonathan Johansson playing for Rangers at the time. He was, and still is a little bit younger than me, but obviously he was from Finland as well. So, and we still keep in touch. So he was good. But all the goalkeepers, for some reason, Andy Koram, Stefan Kloss, we got on really well. They were like way better than me at the time and playing games. But obviously the goalkeepers usually get along really well. Who else? Tony Wittma, funnily enough, we still keep in touch. He's back in Australia now, and for some reason, my wife and Tony's wife, they got really friendly. So, I keep in touch with him. So, but I have to say, like, even the I don't know what's who's the best friend or whatever, but I remember the going into a dressing room for my first day at Ibrox. We got dressed up like before the training sessions. We went to Ibrox and then took a minibus or something.
Yeah.
And I was like nervous as hell. Really, I was like, I knew there was some big name players there, and I just went in and said, hello. And Andy Gorham was there on the. I was walking in, and he was right on the first spot on the left-hand side from the door. Yeah. And he was like, all right, come and sit here. And I was like, oh my God, what is he going to want? And he put his arm around my shoulder and said, listen, Antti, anything you want, any advice, anything on or off the pitch, don't hesitate to ask. And I was like, oh my God. It was a really nice feeling. So everybody were brilliant.
Yeah. But obviously, Antti, Walter Smith brought you to Rangers, and obviously the long-term plan was for you to obviously be Andy's successor. But how good was Andy Gorham in your eyes?
Andy Gorham, like you could see, I obviously didn't share a dressing room with him when he was at his peak, so to speak. Like, had a long, brilliant career, but he was coming into his career mainly because of his, I think it was more or less, he had a pretty bad knees at the time already.
Yeah.
But I think the plan was like, there were other people there as well, but I think that Walter Smith saw something in me, and I thought that I might be someone to consider after Andy retires. And obviously things didn't go that well because Walter left, and Dick Abergaard came in, and he brought in a couple of other like brilliant goalkeepers. So I thought it's better for me to move on, but it's difficult. So, but Andy Gorham was. I remember probably my first game with the first team. It was against Hearts away, where obviously I played for Hearts later. But he was like, I was getting ready. I was like, really, the full stadium. I was like, we got on the warm up, and I was like, getting ready to serve the main man. And he was like, he took about 10 volleys and 10 half volleys, and he was like, all right, that's enough. I go inside. I was like, wow. He literally spent maybe 7 minutes on the pitch before the game, but he knew that he was experienced, and he was he got everything, so that was enough for him. But it was a bit of I remember that feeling, like him walking off the pitch, going back to the dressing room, was like, okay, I'm alone here now. So
what's to do? I know, obviously, Andy, after you left Rangers, and obviously Rangers fans were watching your performances for the likes of Hearts and Southampton. We thought, well, we let a good keeper go there, but that just showed the caliber goalkeeper Rangers had that time, with Stefan Kloss, obviously then.
Yeah, obviously, when Advocat came in, and he was very honest, to be honest. This is a story, but he was like, when Stefan came in, he has just won the Champions League with Dortmund. So I well knew my players, like you don't sign Stefan Kloss, and I knew that I had to go somewhere else to play football. And Dick was actually really good. He never spoke in nonsense. He was very direct on the spot. He said that I actually remember I played against Hearts one game, and I had a really good game. We beat Hearts away, and I made quite a few saves. And next Saturday came, Stefan had some sort of little injury that he missed the game against Hearts. Took me in his office, Dick Advocat. I was expecting something like, Antti, you did really well there. You were really important. You made great saves, and but unfortunately, Stefan is number one. But the only thing he said that Antti, Stefan is playing tomorrow because he's better goalkeeper than you. And I was like, okay. All right, fair enough. But we had some Charbonnier. He won the ball with France, and Stefan Kloss being there. So I think at some point, as much as I enjoyed playing those 20-odd games for Rangers and being part of a massive club, I was sensible enough to realize that if I want to go somewhere with my career and play against the best, I had to take kind of like a step back to take two forward. So
Okay. Another question from Wolf Marshall. He says, Alfredo Morales joined Rangers from your former club, Helsinki. Any idea how he ended up there from Colombia?
To Helsinki?
Yeah.
No, I have to be honest. I have no idea. I have, but HJK Helsinki is the biggest club in Finland, like easily, and they're scouting. For example, this season they have players from different parts of the world, so they have the most resources and a good scouting system. So I think their idea is to sign players from abroad that no one's ever heard of. They see some sort of talent and then sell them on with a bigger money, which is quite a common concept, so to speak. So
yeah, okay. Folks, any question from the Southampton fans? Obviously, there's one. So from Marling, Andy, do you miss Southampton and the lovely weather? And what do you think of the current Southampton manager?
I miss Southampton for many reasons. I spent 2 or 3 best years of my life, footballing wise, and private life as well. My daughter. Sorry, my son. My daughter was born in Glasgow, but my son was born in Southampton. So I got fond memories there. Like we were, pretty successful. We finished, I think, 7th and 12th in the league, and we had a couple of really good seasons there. But do I miss the weather? No, I don't miss that. Sorry, Southampton, Glasgow, whatever. The British weather is. Or I mean, it rains a lot, especially in Glasgow and Edinburgh. It's like it's unbelievable. I don't think that Finland is any better because, we have a winter that lasts about 6 months, and then we have the spring, and then summer. For if we're lucky, we get 2 months of sunshine and really warm weather, and then it's autumn. So, But I miss Southampton. I miss my time in there for many reasons. It was great time in my life, altogether.
Yeah. Obviously, an FA Cup final as well, Andy, at Southampton against Arsenal.
Yeah, well, many people have asked about it, but the FA Cup, like any cup competition, is funny. If you lose the final, that's it. You don't. It's a great whole day, but after all, we lost the game, and Arsenal they were brilliant. They had probably their best team ever that season, full of unbelievable players. We gave them a go, which is great, but the cup, the spirit of the cup, if you lose your last game, nobody remembers you. So we had a good chance, we had a good run, brilliant memories, but we lost, and that's it.
Okay, Andy, so obviously we can't leave out, obviously you're Rangers, then you moved on to Hearts to Edinburgh. I mean, do you enjoy your time in Edinburgh, Hearts?
Massively. And I remember going back to Dick Advoca again, he pulled me in his office and he said that Hearts has offered whatever pounds to sign me. And he said that, I don't know what you think about it, but if you want to show everybody how good of a goalkeeper you are, you have to go there. And that he was honest. I really felt that he thought I was decent, but Rangers at the time wasn't a good place for me, obviously because of Stefan Kloss and a few other reasons. But he was honest, and he said, and I went there, didn't know anyone really. After a few days, after a few weeks, I realized that this is the best thing I've ever done in my life, like professionally. And I think we were 9th in the league I think it was November when I joined the club or something like that. And we ended up 3rd in both seasons I was there. And I loved the club. I still remember how the stadium smelled, and it's just funny. It's really, Hearts is not Rangers or a Premiership club, but I loved my time in Edinburgh. It's a beautiful city, lovely people, great club, lovely stadium. I've for the first time in a long time, I felt that I was really big part of the team. I was playing well. Hope you don't mind me saying it, but I really felt I was playing really well and making important saves and being big part of the team and earning points for the team, making good friends, and it was just wow. I'm a big fan of Hearts still.
Yeah, good. Andy, Edinburgh Derby, obviously Hearts Hibs games quite spicy. So how do they fare? I mean, atmosphere wise, and obviously it's not as big as the Old Firm, but obviously it's still a big game in Edinburgh.
Yeah, massive. I did, to be honest, I didn't realize it. Like I played one Old Firm game because everybody else were injured, and we lost quite heavily. And I was on the bench in quite a few Old Firm games, and the atmosphere is like, I always say people in Finland who are football fans and they go and see like, for example, Arsenal Spurs or something. I say you really have to go and see the Glasgow Derby, the Old Firm, if you want to know what the real rivalry and the atmosphere is. Yeah. But I didn't know about Edinburgh Derby that much. I obviously knew Hibs and Hearts, like, they're from same city and all that. But once you play in those games, it really is. It's a massive game. It really, the fans really care about their clubs, and we had some funny results. We lost heavily. We beat them 5-1, 1-1, 0-0, all the results you can ever imagine. But the atmosphere is brilliant. It's a good game to go and watch.
And obviously, Andy, at that time at Hearts, that's when the famous joke was with a guy on Talksport when he wanted to know why you weren't capped for Scotland. Well,
to be fair, I'm like, do we have to go through this? Because
no, it's just
I've heard it.
I know, but my screen people keep writing on my screen, so we're just going to leave that. But it was funny at the time,
Yeah, it still is. Like I somebody got sends it to me over the TikTok or YouTube or whatever. Like have you heard about this? And I'm like, yeah, about 128,000. But I actually spoke to the guy who made the phone call.
Oh, did you?
Couple of years ago, we were in Edinburgh with my family for a holiday, and we went to a Hearts game. And someone came up to me before the game, on one of the lounges, like, have you heard the story? I was like, oh, here we go again. Yeah, I've heard the story many times. And he said, listen, it's actually a good friend of mine who made the phone call. And it was just a joke. And the poor guy who made the phone call, he never thought that, how can the radio host buy this, crap, like, it's not going to go. And then he realized that the opposite side is like really serious, and he couldn't back off. So you kind of went viral, and you said that the guy actually said that, sorry. I was like, no, it's fine,
Yeah. So okay, so obviously then it's a Gordon Strachan takes you to Southampton from Hearts. Obviously, your performances at Hearts got you the move down to the Premier League. And one of the questions we have is from somebody: what was your best performance for Saints in your opinion?
Very difficult to say. I think, like I said earlier, we were doing pretty well for those under Gordon Strachan on our standards. Like, we had some good results.
Yeah.
I would say the one game that sticks out is a home game against Liverpool. We went 1-0 up quite early, and then it was like all Liverpool for 1 hour. And then I think it was Brett Ormerod who scored the second goal before the end. But between that first and second goal, Michael Owen had a penalty. I made the save. They had quite a few chances, like Steven Gerrard and all that. So it was just one of those games and one of the reasons I remember it so well, and why I personally like beating Liverpool at the time was like my good friend Sami Hyppiä was playing for them, and he's competitive as. And even though we did the national service in Finland together back in 92, like we spent 11 months in the same barracks and all that, and we are really close. But after that game, and we actually beat them away as well at Anfield at one point, but it was so sweet to beat them because he was so fuming after the game. But and also I would say one home game against Arsenal, we beat them 3-2. I made a couple of
is that the treble save he made?
Yeah, that's the one. But I think it was like easy to remember those games when you beat someone like Liverpool or Arsenal, because they were, the massive, and still are the massive clubs in the Premier League.
Yeah. Okay, folks, if you're on Facebook, please like and share. And if you're on Twitter, can you retweet, please? Question from Craig McKenzie. Being Finnish international too, what is your thoughts on the current Finnish international, Glenn Kamara?
Yeah, I've been actually a goalkeeping coach for Finland for the last 10 years. And the first 7 years we had some decent results every now and then, and we had some bad spells, but the last 2 years has been really good. We are actually going to play in the European finals this summer for the first time ever. Finland qualifying for a major tournament. And Glenn Kamara has been a massive part of that new generation coming through and winning enough games to make it to the major finals. And on top of that, I think we have big name players like Lukas Radetski is our goalkeeper, number one choice, who's playing for Leverkusen. Teemu Pukki player scoring for Norwich. But Glenn Kamara is I would describe him as a heart of the team. He's so fluent, and it's so easy for other players. Like when he's on the pitch, they know that they don't have to worry about every single mistake or opposition side pressing you, because just give ball to Glenn and he will take care of it. Like, you know. And I have to say, he's a lovely guy. He's so down to earth. There's so many things wrong in the modern football, like young players thinking that there's something special because they're good at football. I hate that, but Glenn is so nice and, thoughtful and just a nice guy. So I love the guy. That's it.
And do you think that Rangers only paid £50,000 for him, Antti?
Well,
bit of a bargain.
I would consider that a very good business.
Yeah. The other question: most talented Saints teammate, Antti?
Most talented. When I was playing there, we didn't have the big name players. Obviously, James Beattie was scoring a lot of goals. But if I say most talent, what is talent? Well, first of all, you have to discover what is talent. I think the talent is the willing to train hard and be your best. And combining these two things, like natural talent and work ethic, I think I would have to say Wayne Bridge.
Wayne Bridge.
He was a good defender, solid left foot, hard, technically good.
Yeah.
That the first name comes out, I don't know why.
Yeah. But at that time, at Southampton, Andy, you had a good back four in front of you, didn't you? Obviously, it was Wayne Bridge, Jason Dodd at right back, and then it was Michael Svensson and Lundekvam. It's a good back four. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good back four, and I needed centre halves that were tough and good in the air, because I wasn't a dominant goalkeeper. I was more relying on my reflexes and saving ability, and they were good in the air. And it was a really, I don't know if it was planned, but looking back, we have a really good connection. Obviously, we were all from Scandinavia, like Sweden, Norway, Finland.
Yeah.
So we got along off the pitch as well, really well. And for any goalkeeper, the centre halves are the main men for you.
Yeah.
And Lundekvam was this a stylish, good on the ball, good in the air. And then we had the lion heart, Michael Svensson, who was he was doing anything he could to stop the goal. So and then we had fullbacks honest, hardworking, physically good, solid performance so it was it was very solid.
Yeah. And how was it working under Gordon Strachan, Andy?
I loved him. I really, really, really liked him, and not only because he signed me, but he was really, like I said, we didn't have any star players, and he was just his way of leading the group and the club was infectious. He was demanding the best from everybody every single day. He didn't mind mistakes. If you make an honest mistake, we all do. It's not a problem. But anything that below 100% on daily basis, he would get onto you. And he could be he's not physically a big man, but he's got a really good aura about him, and he's like verbally, he's like, you just don't want to talk to him if you want to get into, you just get into trouble. So I love the guy, and unfortunately, we just spoke with someone a few days ago that he left after 2.5 years when I was there, and things really went downhill from there. And I would have loved to see him being a Southampton manager at the time for another 2.5 years, and who knows what would have happened.
Yeah. Okay, here's a good question here from Sean Camp. Where would you rate Alan McGregor against other Premier League goalkeepers in England?
He was a younger guy when I was at Rangers, and I remember him. He was, you could see that he's got some talent.
Yeah.
And he's played in England. You have to remember that in English Premier League, there's just only so many spots left, like for number ones, and Rangers is his club. I'm sure if he a few years ago, if he asked him 5, 6, 7 years ago that does he want to spend the rest of his life in or footballing life in England, absolutely somebody would have signed him, and he would have made a lot of money and be involved with the clubs. But I think it's just felt that Rangers is his club. He's gonna be a big part of the club's success. So how do I rate him? Obviously, you can talk about we in a Premier League, there's French number one playing in a Premier League. There's a Spanish international playing in a Premiership, so on and so on. But he could. I reckon he could still play in the Premier League. So that's a statement on its own. Like, he's had a great career.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, there's a question here now, Antti. It's great goalkeeper. Who would be his senior player and young player of the year? Now, I'm not sure whether that's a Southampton question or a Rangers question, but do you want to senior player and young player for the year for Rangers, Antti? Do you still watch the Rangers matches, or?
To be fair, I don't see them as often as I would like, because they don't really broadcast Scottish football here, so it would be really difficult for me to answer on that question.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously,
Kamara is a certain age at the moment, so he's a senior and still youngish. Glenn Kamara.
Yeah. Do you still follow the Southampton games then?
Yeah, every time we get a chance. Yeah, absolutely. I don't because my life at the moment is full of football. I'm involved with the club level here in Finland, and I'm spending 60 days with the Finnish national team. So if there's a game on telly, like, I don't necessarily watch every single football game that's on telly, but obviously Premier League is a massive thing in Finland, and Southampton is often on. So, but if I don't watch the game, I definitely always look at the results. And I bet any footballer will tell you that once you've been involved with a club, you probably check the results like every morning, how they're doing and so on.
Yeah. Obviously, Antti, then after Southampton, you've gone to Fulham. Southampton relegated, and then you left and went to Fulham. That's to keep you in the Premier League, obviously.
Yeah, and that as much of a success and good times we had at Southampton, that last season when Gordon Strachan left, that season was like, overall it was just a bad season. James Beattie left, Wayne Bridge left, Gordon Strachan left, and I just knew that it's going to be a struggle. And I didn't think we were going down, but like, personally, I didn't have a good season. It was a horrible feeling, and I started the next season in a championship with Southampton. So I was a bit surprised when somebody came in. Later on that year, I think it was 2005, and I had a chance to join Fulham, and I knew the club, nice part of London, nice family club. And it was quite an easy decision for me, because obviously I was already, at the time, I was 33, 34. So it was a non-brainer, really, as weird as it felt to leave Southampton. I still wanted to test myself in a Premier League.
Yeah. Who signed you for Fulham, Andy? What manager signed you?
Chris Coleman.
Chris Coleman, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did you find it in Fulham? Obviously.
I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. The first season went pretty well. It was only the last season I was there when we almost got relegated, and when Roy Hodgson saved us. Really, he came in the middle of the season, and we were going down, and we ended up staying up with 1 point, beating Pompey away on the last day. But I lost my place near the end for the season. I had a I was struggling with all sorts of small injuries. I never felt that I was performing well or I felt good. And after that season, I actually stopped playing professional football. But I enjoy the club. Obviously, West London, it's not the worst place to live in the world. So, yeah, good memories.
Yeah. And you talked there about beating Portsmouth away. You played in that game, did you?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh, you didn't?
I said I lost my place near
the
end of the season. So Casey Keller was playing for us at the time, and quite rightly so. I didn't perform well in that season, the last season.
Right. Antti, obviously it's clicked on. I've got a wee special guest going to join us here, one of your ex-teammates, and it'd be wrong not to have him on. And it's Jason Dodd.
Don't see.
Honestly, Antti, how many podcasts do you do? That's what I want to know.
This is my maybe third in a year.
Bloody hell. I come on this week. I played with him for about 25 years and he never said a bloody word. I'm coming on now. Every time I go on, he's on a podcast.
Well, you told me Antti was very quiet, but he's not. Anttie's fine.
Honestly, he was, to be fair, he could do whatever he wanted to because he was a wonderful keeper. So it wasn't a problem for him.
That's not true. You don't say that. Come on.
Honestly, mate, I'd love to come on here and say he was bloody rubbish. He couldn't pull a bird. He was dodgy, but it was none of that, mate. It's simple as that. He was running. I was very lucky that I managed to play in front of him, to be honest with you. But no, it was a pleasure. How you doing, Antti?
Yeah, I'm okay. How are you?
Yeah. Some of us, mate, have just got in from a bit of work. So the sunshine in Otterbourne is beautiful. And I just thought I'd come on and give you a bit of stick.
I'm at my place in Finland.
Yeah. Is it ever sunny in Finland, mate? That's what I want to know.
Is it ever sunny in Finland? Yeah. In about a month's time, we'll have about 20 hours daylight.
Okay.
No, seriously. It's very dark.
20 hours of daylight.
Yeah. In winter time, we have about hardly any daylight, and then on the summertime for a few months we have hardly ever, sun never goes down.
So you're out and about all the time then, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, mostly.
So what, mate, you know me, it's strange in that we got the ex-Saints. We're very lucky, similar to what Gaz is doing here. And the boys get together and you don't see them very much. And as soon as you get to see them, you just abuse them again. And you go back into that, like Klaus, we talked to Klaus Lundvall about his gear and all these sort of things. And it's harsh, to be fair, because we spent so much time together and then your career comes to an end and you never see each other again. It's strange.
Yeah, I think we could agree that when this whole Corona thing is over, could we have a class of 2000 and whatever? When was the cup final? 2003.
2003. Yeah.
Get together in wherever, maybe in Glasgow or something like that.
No doubt. So we've got to bring Antti over for the game down here.
Yeah, you'd love it, Antti. The game would be. Honestly, the game would be fantastic. And to be fair, we need some good players anyway, because I carry a lot of the players. So it could be good to get a good few players coming back into playing that as well.
Dodsey can only run up and down the line. He can't go left or right, Dodsey. Just up and down the line.
Oh, to Antti, well, I played in this game, Mark. I played in this game, and I played for 60 minutes, and then Gazza pulled us off. No, Mark Hateley pulled me off, right? And this lovely fella came on that obviously was a fanatical Rangers fan, and he donated some money for obviously the wonderful Lee Rigby charity. And he came on, and he'd been training for it for 2 or 3 months. 10 minutes, he pulled his hamstring. He had to come off. And the thing was, you know what it's like, Antti. I'd come off for 10 minutes and stopped, and then Mark Hateley turned around to me and went, "You're gonna have to go back on." I was like this, trying to walk back on the pitch. It was embarrassing.
Yeah, but Andy, we do this charity game every year for the Lee Rigby Foundation. The likes of Michael Moles plays in it.
Okay. I bet he's still fit.
He's still fit, yeah. 2 guys been over, Zurab Kishnavili, Alex Ray. So we get you over for it. Dodgy plays in it. Well, he turns up.
Yeah, I was going to say. I think I'm the eye candy. I think for the ladies. And I think, yeah. Well, you know, Andy, that's what it is, isn't that?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm also obviously we play down in the lovely Pompey area, so you can imagine the sort of stick that we get just by running out onto the pitch. So it's a pleasure, mate. But obviously, like Gaz said, the charity is magnificent, mate. So if you can come over, it will be a wonderful weekend, mate.
I would be honoured any day.
Yeah, we'll get you over, Anthony. Yeah, brilliant. So yeah, so
hold on, Gaz. Hold on. He's got this in. He said he's coming over. Do you know what how pathetic ex-footballers are about turning up? He said he's coming. You need to get the contract over to him and get it sorted.
Yeah, Andy will turn up all right.
I will sign it tomorrow. Send it over. What's the
okay. Brilliant. So, Dodgy, obviously you were Andy's captain at Southampton. We were just chatting there about the back four. He says he had a great back four in front of him. Well, 3. Wayne Bridge.
Me. And,
you. Yeah. Great back 3 in front of me, and then Dodgy was on decent.
So, Andy, what was Dodgy like as a captain?
Should I be on here while he's talking about me, or what? Or should I?
Yeah, you stay on there.
You stop talking and not try not to cry. Dodgy was what Southampton at the time what we were. He was hardworking, consistent. He cared about the players. Always did his best, and just a reliable player and a good person.
Yeah, and could he could he hand it out in the dressing room at half time?
Yeah. No, he could. Yeah. Absolutely, no problem. I think Gordon Strachan was so. If something went wrong, I don't think any of us had any chance to say anything, because you remember Strachan. Bloody hell! If he got angry, then wow.
Yeah. Was Strachan the fiercest you've played under, Andy?
Sorry?
Is Strachan the most fiercest manager you've played under, as in giving it out?
Well, playing in UK for 12 years, you bet you've seen some characters. You remember Tim Jeffries from Hearts?
Yeah.
He was a lovely guy, and a good manager. He has a good career, but pretty old school on decent things, on certain things. And if he lost it, seriously, he made grown men cry. He was nasty. And Craig Levine, the same thing. He was a little bit younger, but if he wasn't happy, he let you know. So I had some feisty characters during my career.
Yeah. So here's a question for you, Andy. So obviously there are a number of brilliant goalkeepers in the Premier League at the moment. Of all the keepers, who do you think is the best and why?
In the Premier League at the moment?
Yeah.
I don't. How can you say? How can you? I can name 5 or 6 keepers who, on a good day, they look the best, and you don't. all the clubs all the Premier League clubs are massive clubs, and the competition and the level of the game is high. Never mind the Man Cities and who are competing for the titles. So I couldn't say there's some different qualities in there. But someone I really like at the moment, Kasper Schmeichel. Maybe it's because he's blonde and he's from Scandinavia, but he's. I think he's.
Yeah, but Antti, he's quite good looking though. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, is a problem,
mate? Because that was never in your library of what people said about you.
No, he's good. He's good. Ederson, very proactive goalkeeper. Dodgy, you don't know what that means, proactive, but he's pretty good. Alisson, obviously,
Yeah.
All the Polish playing for big clubs, very good.
Yeah. Well, Dodgy, how's the cricket?
The cricket, do you know what? We played against Harrow School today, and we lost we had a 30-over game. We lost in the last over. So I gave him a Strachan hairdryer treatment and said, I don't want to see him for a couple of days. Left it like that.
Yeah.
Can I stop you there for a second? What was the question? How was the cricket?
Dodgy's playing cricket.
No.
Cricket, that game
mate,
with the bat.
Yes. The game that we tried to get you involved in, and you're like, what is cricket? I don't understand what cricket is.
I know what cricket is, but what you and cricket?
Antti, I am the super coach. I am the qualified level 2 cricket coach.
Why would anyone play cricket? Like,
oh my gosh! So when you come over, because you're coming over,
I know the answer. There's beer involved.
Oh, honestly, you got to come over. And what we do, we go to watch Hampshire. We watch a T20 game, and we'll have some slush up here, and we'll have a couple of beers, and we'll watch the cricket, and I will turn you so you understand how wonderful cricket is.
I could almost take up that challenge just because I know it's not going to happen. But we do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There you go.
Do you remember Dodgy says a couple of beers? He's been promising me beers this last 4 years.
Yeah.
And James Beattie was on here, and James Beattie says Dodgy's as tight as cramp. You'll never get the beer off him.
Honestly, people in glass houses. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to say no more. Saying no more.
So there you are. Yeah. So.
All right. Yeah, but sorry, guys. But Antti, you weren't really a massive drinker, were you? When you were, we didn't have a real big drinking culture. But I think one of the best things about us was, like you were talking about the back four and the team that we had, and the togetherness that Strachan brought into us. When we did go out for a couple of scoops and have a couple of drinks, everyone was out. And I think that's why I think in that era, like as Antti said, around 2003, 4, 5, for me was probably my best 3 or 4 years at Southampton, and it was great because we really got on well with each other. The boys were brilliant, and we demanded off each other. We pushed off each other, so I could have a go at like a Klaus or a Michael Svensson, and then don't get me wrong, I'd be scared after, but they took it, and then we would discuss it, and we'd go from there. And I think that's why we were very well. Put it this way, I'm talking about me. I was very lucky that I was able to play with these players because we brought the best out of each other because we knew how to drive each other on, and we were quite lucky in that respect.
Absolutely,
yeah. So there's no big nights out in Southampton, Dodgy? No big nights drinking, no?
No, we used to have a couple of orange juices after a game of golf, and that was about it, mate. We were very dedicated.
Yeah, and that actually came obviously as a younger player. You when you get a chance, you might want to have a night out, and it did happen, but nothing on a major scale, like on a regular places, like never. But Gordon Strachan, if you remember, Dodgy, Gordon Strachan was very strict about, for example, about alcohol. he never said, for example, I remember like pre-seasons, at the end of the pre-season camp, like week on wherever we were, he said that now, guys, you can have a couple of units of alcohol. He didn't say you can have few beers if you want, because he underlined it that few beers it's still alcohol. And that was like, he was very strict about certain things. And I think we were pretty fit team at the time. Like, physically, we were pretty good.
Yeah.
But I think, Gaz, shut up a minute. I think Anti's right? Because the problem was with Strachan. It wasn't a problem. Flipping how he beasted us. So, I mean, on the handy, we go, yeah, you can have a couple of beers, boys, or a couple of units. But then again, if we did, oh my God, would we know about it the next day? He'd absolutely beast us. So in the end, it was a case of flipping out. I could go and have a couple of units or a couple of beers because he was going to beast you the next day. He was really clear. Honestly, Strachan was brilliant like that. He'd go around because he used to think like some of us play golf. Antti, honestly, couldn't hit a barn door. But we used to play golf, right? And Strachan used to go around to all the clubs and offer them, if you get any of the players up here, there's a couple of tickets here for you. We were not allowed to play golf 6 days before a game, which is a Sunday. And a lot of us had family and young kids and that. So there was absolutely no chance of us playing. And he just didn't like it. He just didn't like us playing golf because he thought it tired us out. Different managers have different views.
Yeah. So Strachan was did Strachan ever go for a beer with you?
No, he used to have not tonic water. He used to have and to be fair, you can't say it nowadays, can you? You can't say he had a ladies' drink because you'll get told off saying it's a lady. But he would,
probably Iron Brew or something.
Yeah, honestly, Andy, you might be right. But he would have a lot like a soft juice and things. And don't get me wrong, guys. You know what I mean? It wasn't a case of you are never ever allowed it. He just wanted it to be in a small quantity rather than maybe back in the day, maybe a bit before Antti, when it was more or less okay to have a good few drinks on a Saturday, and then a Sunday lunchtime was the best drink of the week.
Yeah, well, somebody just says there, can you imagine Matt Letizia being told no golf?
Exactly. Or Malibu and Coke. He'd collapse.
Is that what he drinks, Malibu and Coke?
Oh, yeah, Malibu and Coke. It's like that. What the hell's Malibu and Coke?
Brilliant, Doddsy. Brilliant.
All right, well, I'll leave you in peace. I just wanted to say hello to Antti. It's great to see you, big man. Please come over for the charity event. It is wonderful. No, you're not going to stay at me, but I'll get you a travel lodge down the road and you can dip in there and all that sort of thing.
It was great to see you, Captain. And that's a promise. Send me the invite.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me on, mate.
Thank you.
Okay, Doddsy, thank you, mate.
See you later, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, Antti, so he's gone now, Dodsy's gone. That was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, it was nice to see.
Yeah, what was he like as a captain then, honestly, but was he a good lad?
He was, he was just, obviously you can see that he's got a great sense of humor. He's pretty calm, a good leader type, like, when everybody were doing their best and so on, we never had any problems. But if something needed to be said, like really important, he was not. He would, like, no problem whatsoever. He was, and he's a picture of Southampton at that time. Like I said before, like hardworking, not the most talented, but like hardworking, consistent, good pro.
Yeah. And obviously before Doddsy came on there, that's what I was getting at when it says about Fulham going down to play at Portsmouth. Obviously you were well received down there, Antti.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I remember. Yeah, I heard a few songs and, a few people shouting, but it wasn't too bad, to be honest. And I remember going there with Fulham for the first time. I can't remember how the game finished, but I remember making, quite a few saves. Like, I had a good
good game.
Yeah, a decent game, which was relief, obviously, because if I had a bad game, that would have been a nightmare day.
Yeah. And then obviously, Antti, I know you didn't play for them, but you ended up going down to Portsmouth for a short term, didn't you? You ended up signing down there.
Yeah, I when I stopped playing, mainly because of the injuries back in 2000 and I can't remember, maybe 8 or something like that. I didn't play, I didn't train as a footballer for, I think it was about 10 months, which is a long time. And then I had a phone call from David Coles, who was my goalkeeping coach at Southampton. And we were really, really close, and we still are. I still speak to him and text him. And he said that they need a backup keeper because Asmin Begovic and some other keepers, they wanted to go on loan somewhere because David James is the clear number 1.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are you calling me? I don't play football anymore. It's like, are you fit? I was like, yeah, I'm still like fit. I do something. And, you know, he said that come here for pre-season and, you know, as a backup keeper. He, you know, explained it to me like why they were looking for experienced number 2. And I hesitated. Obviously, the money was like decent, but that it really was a big thing for me, like, you know, because people at Southampton, they still thought hopefully quite highly of me.
Yeah.
So what would they think if I go to Pompey?
Yeah.
Even as a, you know, a reserve keeper or whatever. But that time, like, Pompey had a really difficult season for many reasons. Financially, they were struggling, and, you know, the team was losing, and I got injured. Like, I was there and I got my elbow done and my knee done, and like I couldn't handle it anymore. And after the new year, I think it was February or March, I said to the club, like, you know, it's not serving anyone, especially because none of those two asked me. For example, Asmin Begovic, they were still at the club. So we had training sessions where we had like 4 senior good goalkeepers. So the whole thing was a bit odd, say the least. But, you know, and the only reason I went there, like, really is like, it's different for foreign player. Obviously, I love Southampton and all that, but I never really, I could never 100% understand or feel what, you know, the local clubs are feeling about themselves.
Yeah.
Obviously, I have an inkling like being there, but because the only reason was like David Coles was asking me, and I consider him as a good friend, and I owe him a lot. So that was the story. Really.
Yeah. And was it Harry Redknapp was the manager then, Antti?
At Pompey?
Yeah.
No. It was Avram Grant. I think.
Avram Grant?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a comment there that says, after Peter Shilton, Antti is the best keeper Southampton's ever had. So there you are. That's a big compliment, Antti.
It's a big compliment. I'm a bit, you know, thank you, first of all. It's nice to hear that somebody appreciates my efforts. But Southampton has, for some reason, they've had some proper goalies, like, in year after year. And even the current goalkeepers at the moment are like brilliant.
Yeah.
So thank you, but that's all I can say.
Okay, Antti. Well, thank you very much for coming on. Podcast fantastic, and having Doddsy on as well. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on.
Pleasure.
Yeah, Antti, if you just stay there, I'll come back on and speak to you then. Okay, just about this charity thing. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Antti. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Okay, folks, there you have it. So Antti Niemi, and obviously joined by ex-Southampton captain Jason Dodd. That was a nice wee touch from Doddsy coming on to say hello to Antti. Folks, next Monday night, another Southampton legend, Klaus Luvekam, will be joining us. And then on Sunday, the 16th of May, folks, Davy Robertson, ex-Rangers, 9-year-old legend. Dave will be on, obviously, to talk about his new book that's coming out. The book's called The Quiet Man Roars, and anybody that's watched the Real Kashmir show will see why it's called The Quiet Man Roars. But Dave will be on then, and there's a few other players lined up as well, folks. So thank you very much. Remember, if you're on the Facebook page, please like and share. If you're on Twitter, please retweet. Good night, folks.